No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live somewhere on that interweb, good evening to you, and welcome to the final Illegal Curve post-game show of 2024. I'm Dave Manouk. He's Ezra Ginsburg wearing some sort of interesting shirt.
Pineapples, Dave.
Looks like it has pineapples on it.
My pineapple shirt that I'm wearing for New Year's Eve. We're not going to say it yet. Are we going to be on for the whole? Are we going to push this till 12 o'clock Central, Dave? Are we going to push this till midnight? I don't know if we are, but yeah, Happy New Year, everybody who's watching, listening on the podcast. Obviously, we're going to be saying Happy New Year a few times throughout the broadcast. But yeah, no Drew. He's a little under the weather. If anybody was watching our last post-game show after the Jets-Preds game, Drew was coughing up a lung. So we gave Drew the night off. And yeah, we're here to talk about an unfortunate loss, 5-2. Jets were in it, though, up until the third period. I mean, you could definitely tell, Dave, in the third period, I mean, it was all Avalanche. I don't know how many shots the Jets ended up with, 3 or 4. It wasn't a lot. But I thought that the score wasn't really indicative of the play. It was a valiant effort. Valiant is the word I would use, Dave, to describe this, right? Second game of a back-to-back, third game in 4 days.
Yeah. Well, the Avalanche haven't played, I think, in 3 or 4 nights.
Right. So huge advantage for the Avalanche. The Jets have to travel. We know the altitude is a factor, even if you want to pretend it's not, right? So a good effort by the Jets. They come up a little bit short. It would have been nice if they got at least a point, but luckily they're still in first place. The only unfortunate thing is, I don't know if you've checked the out-of-town scoreboard, Dave. Mm-hmm. The Stars are winning. The Wild are winning. The Avalanche won. So unfortunate. The Jets are still going to be up at least 5 points on the next team.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, we're not going to, you don't get too worked up over scoreboard watching. At least I don't, because I'm not going to say it was a scheduled loss, because at the same time, you have to give credit where credit is due. I thought Eric Comrie was excellent in this hockey game. Yep. I know a lot of folks, I mean, especially when you see the score 5-2, people get all up in arms. Oh, Comrie must not have been very good. But 2 of those, of course, were empty net goals. And look, at the end of the day, like, as I just said, this is or you said, sorry, Azzy, but 3 games in 4 nights for the Winnipeg Jets, whereas the last the Avs beat Utah, was it 4 nights ago or 3 nights ago? So they've had a nice little break. They're well rested and they're ready. They were ready to go. And I thought the Jets, for the most part, were in this hockey game, right? And this is, a 2-2 game after 40 minutes. So either team really could have come away with the victory. And so you are, I think, pleasantly happy with the way the Jets, for the most part, played in this hockey game. And of course, there were some mistakes. But overall, I think it was a pretty good effort, and it was a pretty good showing in it for a team that, like I said, had played the night before and are, a little bit absent on D. And we don't know if there's been an update. It seems like, and I saw one of the questions in the chat was whether the Jets were doing video, like post-game interviews and I don't think they are, because there's no media in the arena, because of course the Free Press, who travels and does most of the games, they don't have a paper tomorrow, so they won't be they didn't travel today's game. The Sun doesn't travel, and so I don't think that there was any media going down. So it's possible that there was some post-game media availability, because you generally have to make yourselves available, especially if the Avs wanted anyone. But we may not get updates and the Jets are not available tomorrow, so we will be getting our first sort of updates in terms of, if they don't do one today, we'll check on that but if they don't do one today, then we'll get updates on Thursday when they're back in town to take on the Anaheim Ducks.
And I think who you're referring to is Dylan DeMello, right? Who left the game and didn't come back. And obviously, the Jets are already dealing with the injuries with Sandberg and Hayden Fleury. So that would be pretty devastating if Dylan DeMello was out even for a short amount of time, right, Dave? Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. But again, they don't end up getting a point in this game, but I thought that they showed a lot of resilience to come back and tie the game, right? We'll get into that in the Play Now game recap, but Gabe Vilardi obviously continues his red hot goal scoring streak. And you mentioned it earlier, Dave. I thought Eric Comrie was excellent tonight. And I know some people in the chat, I see our good friend Mark Sports Video. He's saying, why not start Comrie versus Nashville? I mean, I don't know, Dave, if really that was the difference in this game, right? Like the Colorado Avalanche were the better team in this game, even though, the Jets kept it close. Yeah. And it was a tie game going into the third period. But, there was obviously the Jets have their reasons, right? Scott Arniel will always say that he defers to Wade Flaherty, Jets goaltending coach, right? That the coaching staff has a plan. It's not like they just decide who's going to start in net the day before or even 2 days before, right? They have a calendar, and obviously there's changes that are made. I mean, nothing is written in stone, right? But like you said, Comrie was excellent tonight. Even early in the third period, remember Josh Manson had that chance, and Comrie had to come up with a big save. He made a huge save on Letkinen on the power play that I can remember. So anytime you make, what did he end up with? 35 saves, Dave, 36 saves,
something like that.
That's a good night's work, right? And Comrie's been great, record aside. Eric Comrie has had a great first half of this season. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that, right?
So I think a few folks will dispute it, some in the chat, but look, they're entitled to their opinion. Let's put it that way.
Dave, how many times has he allowed more than 3 goals? I think twice all year long. Like, it's very few. I mean, he was on that streak of allowing 3 or fewer goals in something like 6 or 7 straight games, right? So he hasn't had the run.
He's not getting blown out. Yeah, you're right. He's
not getting blown out, and his numbers are good. His save percentage is good, right? So I think Comrie's been fine. I have no issue with the decision to start Hellebuck versus Nashville and then Comrie versus Colorado. I don't think Hellebuck in this game would have necessarily made the difference because Comrie was really good.
Well, and with all due respect to everyone who thinks that they know better than the goaltending plan, that has seemed to work for a team that has a goaltender who we were talking about last night is likely to win the Vezina, could win the Hart, and could backstop your team far in the playoffs. But the reality is that I don't think either game means more than the other. I don't think, let's be realistic. Did it mean anything to the Jets when they beat Colorado 7-0? 2 games before, 3 games, whatever it was before the playoffs. Of course, it didn't mean anything. I mean, it pissed Colorado off. It got them, it woke them up. It was like giving them some smelling salts but at the end of the day, if you're the Jets, I'd play Connor Hellebuck. I think they made the right decision. I think you play Connor Hellebuck against Nashville. He's at home. It's the first game. Your team's fresher. I don't think you put Connor Hellebuck in.
And he was excellent last night.
He was excellent last night.
So remember, he let in a couple of goals and then he shut the door, right? So
yeah. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that there aren't elements of this team that need to be better and could have been better in tonight's game. But I'm just saying that I don't think it was goaltending. It's a 2-2 game. And sure, the second goal, I mean, you can say the second goal is a bad goal, but it's also because he's reacting. The guy makes Taves makes a mistake. And I know we'll get into it in the recap but Taves makes a mistake. So Comrie's reacting to what he thinks he's doing, not what ends up happening. And then he tries to react and he doesn't get to it. But again, we'll get into that when we break it down in our game recap here on the Illegal Curve postgame show. Thank you, by the way, for joining us, all of you. I know that folks are a little bit fired up, and it's New Year's. We're closing out 2024 on Illegal Curve. We had a lot of coverage for the final day of 2024. Ezzy, we covered the Moose game. That one didn't go particularly well, if Jets fans want to be real. Although 6,500 Manitobans, Ezzy, won pancakes. So at the end of the day,
great crowd.
There was a good crowd, and there were a lot of they got some indoor fireworks, and which I was in the bowels of the Canada Life Center trying to wait to do interviews, so I didn't get a chance to watch
Must have
them.
Been loud in there.
It was very loud, actually. And we're like, we'd hear a boom, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, now it's ready to go. Then all of a sudden it'd be like another boom, and you're like, okay, well that must be the end of it. But they kept on rolling. So the fans got free pancakes, they got fireworks. They didn't get a Moose win, but that's not been a surprise this year. And then of course we kept our coverage going here on a little channel called Illegal Curve YouTube channel.
Yes, and now officially over 7,000 subscribers. So anybody who's watching us live right now on YouTube or listening on the podcast who might be a YouTube subscriber, we appreciate it. 7 was the number, my lucky number. I used to wear that when I played for the River Heights Cardinals, whether that was A3 or A2 hockey. So I like that number, Dave. So it's nice to hit that milestone. We're about to hit 3 million total views on YouTube, which is a nice little milestone as well. And sometimes, Dave, you have to just say when the Jets lose like that and Team Canada loses like that to Team USA, sometimes all you can do is drink, right?
Well, it is the final show of the year, and Ezzy's drinking responsibly because he's in his own home. So there's nothing wrong with what he's doing here on this post-game show.
Love the taste. Like, Dave, I love my Corona.
Yeah.
But especially you got to put that lime in there. Ooh, chef's kiss.
There we go. Well, not a chef's kiss. I mean, again, some folks look, and I guess it's a good thing, right? Kevin Sawyer said on the broadcast, Ezzy, like, you can't win all 82, but I like that Jets fans are upset and they're a little disappointed in their team. And we'll talk about no lineup changes. So let's get into that before we start the recap, as we know that Dominic Toninato and Ville Heinola, sorry, I'm going to start pronouncing it properly because I've pronounced it wrong for many years, but
me too, Dave.
The two of them were on the ice for warm-up, which we found out from Mitchell Clinton, radio analyst for the Winnipeg Jets. And they chose to use the exact same lineup. So starting with that thought, are you a little surprised given the fact that they had played yesterday and there was travel, they didn't make a change of some sort, either at up forward or on D?
Honestly, Dave, I was a little bit more surprised about no changes on D because I thought David Gustafsson played well, and also I thought he was good again tonight. Remember, he hit the post.
Yep.
On that chance. I forget who passed it to him. It might have been Ehlers that passed it to him. Even though it wasn't on the same line, but
right.
Regardless, David Gustafsson had a chance and he hit the post. So I was a little bit surprised that no Ville Heinola, but again, Logan Stanley had a good game against Nashville. So that's not who you expected to come out. It would be Dylan Coghlan. And look, Dylan Coghlan again tonight, like earlier in the game, I just want to confirm it here, Dave. I think he had 2 shots on net. Yeah, I'm looking at the shots and he did have 2 shots on net. He has that ability. I remember there was one opportunity where Scheifele found him coming up the middle, and Dylan Coghlan had a good scoring chance. So, based on the fact that Coghlan played well against Nashville, I mean, you say to yourself, well, you're not going to mess with what's working, right? You're not going to mess with a winning formula. But yeah, I was more surprised maybe that Ville Heinola didn't come in on defense. But, I have to be honest, like, Logan Stanley is obviously not a long-term solution on the second pair. Everybody knows that, but he's playing some pretty good hockey, right? Like he's jumping up into the play, and we'll get into the Gabe Vilardi goal, but he's jumping up into the play, and he had that big hit. Who was that hit on? Was it Parsonen? I think it was Parsonen.
Yeah, it might have been
UC Parsonen. Is it UC Parsonen? In Juuso Parsonen. In the first period, just absolutely nailed him. If you remember that big body check, right? So again,
it's funny. I was watching.
I'm not Dave. I'm not saying that Logan Stanley, is about to win the Norris Trophy. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that he's been playing better hockey as of late.
I wonder how much of that beer you drank if you said that, Ezzy.
Well, exactly. But I mean, he's on a 3-game point streak, and he's starting to look more comfortable out there. And again, I think when Dylan Sandberg's back in the lineup and Hayden Fleury's back in the lineup, I don't necessarily know that Logan Stanley's in the top 6 because I think Hayden Fleury and Colin Miller is probably your third pair, Dave, just like it was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But you got to call it out when Stanley's playing some good hockey. You got to give him credit, and he has been playing good the last few games.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I do wonder if there is a certain level of I don't know what the word is, but they're almost like there's a little bit of freedom because you're not worried about, okay, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get the hook. There really there isn't one right now because there is an absence of depth with this Jets team on the back end. And, folks are asking about Dylan DeMello. I mean, yes, Ville Heinola is the next guy in because who else is it going to be? Are you calling up? I mean, again, there's really nobody, Simon Lundmark is literally the last guy available for the Winnipeg Jets to recall from the Manitoba. I mean, obviously, I don't want to insult T. Konopoli and say, Tyrell Bauer obviously is available as well. But realistically, Simon Lundmark would be the next guy up from the Moose. And I know folks are asking about Elias Salamonson. He's still not back. And Mark Morrison Moose head coach had told me last week that he told me previously that the expectation was he'd be ready to go once the Christmas break was over. And sure enough, he's not quite ready. He's IR skating by himself. The expectation is he'll be ready to start practicing with the team this week, and they're heading off to Calgary to kick off 5 games on the road. So you don't even have Elias Salamonson. So you don't really have any depth on defense. It's a big concern. And I know that, like I said, Dylan Sandberg, we talked about it on yesterday's show, as he's still a ways away. So this Jets team is going to have to hope and pray that Dylan DeMello is fine, and that they're not going to have to go to the depth any further. And then maybe, but we know that, again, Hayden Fleury week to week, and Dylan Sandberg is still a ways away. So right now, this is the decor they've got. And I do, like I said, to my mind, I do wonder if that's allowing Logan Stanley to play a little bit more freely, knowing that he doesn't have to worry as much as when those guys are all healthy.
I think it's a good point that you make. I think because that Sandberg is still a week to 2 weeks away, because Fleury's week to week, and because that Heinola, you are now more cemented in the lineup than Heinola, you can play a little bit more freely. I was just checking to see if Kenny Wiebe had any updates, Dave.
Yeah.
No updates on Dylan DeMello. So we're going to have to wait probably till, I imagine, tomorrow at the earliest.
No,
Thursday.
It's an off day tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's New Year. So I doubt we would receive anything from the Jets, right, Dave? Yeah. So, you have to hope that Dylan DeMello's been playing some really good hockey lately on the top pair with Josh Morrissey. So you hope that it's not going to be long-term. But again, going back to, tonight's game, you almost kind of expected to lose tonight's game based on the fact that you're going in against a team who's been off for 3 days, right, Dave?
Yep.
And, they're a good team. You forget, I think the Avalanche, they only have 4 less wins than the Jets, right? So you look at the standings and you say, 9 points, that's a huge lead. Yes, but, the Avalanche are still right there, right? They're still in it. And I think, we've talked about this, for the last several weeks. When you're talking about the Jets, the Stars, the Avalanche, and the Wild, there's going to be a lot of movement. The Jets are comfortably in first right now, but nothing is it's not written in pen, Dave, right now. It's written in pencil, the standings, right? It's going to be it's fascinating, second half to the season to see where everybody ends up. Obviously, the Jets are hoping that they can get first place, so they get home ice. But it's not going to be easy because, like we talked about, the Avalanche obviously won tonight, and last time I checked, the Stars and the Wild were winning too.
Yeah, and if you remember, as one of the subjects of our discussion on Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show was the tightening of the top 4 in the Central. So that is to be expected. But like I said, the Jets, remember, for all the people who are upset, the Jets are going to end 2024, as Drew told us on yesterday's show, with the most wins in the calendar year. And they're ending 2024 as the top team because Vegas lost to Montreal today. So the Jets are ending the calendar, or they're ending 2024 as the number 1 team in the NHL. 27, is it 27 or 26? 27, 11, and 1.
27, 11, and 1. Yeah. You're Dave. A couple things though. So the Stars and Wild, those are finals. They both won. So they both picked up 2 points on the Jets. Again, the Jets, I don't think their knees aren't trembling right now. They've still got a comfortable lead. But the thing about Montreal,
Wild lost. By the way, the Wild did lose Jared Spurgeon. He didn't.
I didn't know that.
He left the game and did not return, so they lose their captain.
Yeah, hopefully that's similar to Dylan DeMello. Hopefully that's not going to be anything long term. But the thing with the Montreal Canadiens, I don't know if you've been paying attention to this. They've now defeated the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Vegas Golden Knights, all in regulation, all on the road, Dave. They've beat those 3 teams on the road in a row. Just an interesting thing because the Montreal Canadiens obviously are not in a playoff position. They won't be making the playoffs, but just interesting. Marty St. Louis got the boys playing some good hockey on the road against some good teams.
And look, the one thing that the Colorado Avalanche we should mention is the fact that they weren't getting goaltending, right? Their goal differential before they got Blackwood was minus, and I don't remember how
good tonight as well.
No, he looked really good. I mean, look, the Jets had some very good chances. If you looked at actually, I believe after 40 minutes, the advanced stats were in the Jets' favor. The expected goals were higher for the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets' high danger chances were higher. So the Jets
finished with more high danger chances at even strength than the Avalanche.
Yeah. So I mean,
hold on, Dave. I'll give it to you right now, just quickly. Okay. It was 8-6.
Okay, so there you go. So I mean, Blackwood is a very good goaltender. And if you looked at his numbers, hopefully everybody in the chat was on illegalcurve.com earlier today and read the pregame report, Ezzy. I know you did. But look at what he's done for them. Since they traded for him, he's 4-1-0, now 5-1-0. He has a 1.82 goals against average and a 940 save percentage. I mean, that's a massive change for what was the biggest weakness on the Colorado Avalanche, is that they didn't have a goaltender that they felt confident in. Now they've got a goaltender, signed him to a 5-year deal. Again, do I think Mackenzie Blackwood is Connor Hellebuyck? No. Do I think Connor Hellebuyck is going to lose to Mackenzie Blackwood in a head-to-head, sort of contest? I do not. Now, of course, the team around them matters as well, so that's kind of a factor. Look, this is devolving a little bit away. We're getting away from the game recap and almost this is becoming a little bit Saturday-esque.
Well, no, but you're right though, Dave, in saying that the goaltending moves that they made, because they also acquired Scott Wedgwood. They obviously only like goaltenders whose name end in Wood. And it's funny, they also have Miles Wood. So they've got Miles Wood, Mackenzie Blackwood, and Scott Wedgwood, which is pretty funny. But
what types of wood are they, Ezzy? Are they a cedar? Are they a pine?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I maybe an oak. I have no idea. Spruce, potentially. Yeah. Poplar. I don't know. I'm just naming streets in Winnipeg Beach at this point, Dave. but yeah, I mean, that's what they needed to do. They needed to go out there. Sakic and McFarland needed to acquire goaltenders. They needed to do something about Georgiev and Eustace Annunen, and that's what they've done. And it's, partly also, the Avalanche were dealing with a lot of injuries and a lot of absences, right? It helps that Valerie Nichushkin is back. It helps that Jonathan Drouin is back. But regardless, yes, let's get back to the Jets and their performance tonight. But yes, I personally think the Jets' biggest obstacle in the Central Division is the Avalanche. I know some people think it's Dallas or Minnesota, but for me, it's Colorado.
Oh, it's definitely not Minnesota. I can tell you that much right now. It's. Let me tell you, if you're a Jets fan, you definitely want Dallas and Colorado to pummel each other. You'll happily take any team other than one of those.
Yes,
and you'll be much happier for that, because that would not be not that I don't think that they could handle it, but I just don't think it would be an ideal matchup. Let's put it
this is a hot take here for you, Dave, and I think you'll agree with me. Okay. Of these three teams, the Wild, the Stars, and the Avalanche, I all day long take the Wild in a 7-game series. If I'm the Jets, that's the team I prefer to play in the first round.
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't even think that's. I don't think that's you going out on some sort of significant limb there, Mr. Ginsburg. Well, let's get into it, because it's been 23 minutes of us preambling. We've got so many of you here in the chat. We appreciate you spending your New Year's Eve. Usually it's later. Usually you're going right till midnight with me, Ezzy, Spency in a hot tub somewhere in Sage Creek.
And we're getting a mazel tov. We're not getting a mazel tov, Dave. We're getting a mazel tov.
Thank you to DL14, and congratulate, same to everybody. Happy New Year. And hopefully you're going to be happy and healthy for 2025, and you've had a good 2024. We appreciate you joining us here on the Illegal Curve Postgame Show. We do this after every single Jets game, win, lose, or IC Drew. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so we can continue to bring you these broadcasts, and brought to you, of course, by our sponsors at Play Now.
The Play Now game recap.
Learn to bet with Play Now, Ezzy, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get it to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. Well, now I don't know how you watched that first period, Ezzy. You didn't have to watch it on Prime, so that was kind of an advantage at least. But I was watching it from inside Canada Life Center, just post our Moose Media. So I had the two TVs. I had no sound, which was a bit unfortunate, but I did have the ability to watch on. I was trying to get them to put it on the Jumbotron. They wouldn't put it on the Jumbotron for me, unfortunately. They kept saying to me, "Sir, how did you get in here?" So I eventually just adjusted and watched it on the two televisions. But what was your kind of? We'll get into the goal in a second. But was there anything that stood out to you from that first period?
I mean, I thought it was a pretty even first period, to be honest with you. I mean, it was fast paced. Spency's in Times Square. Love it. A couple of years ago, he was in the hot tub in Sage Creek. Now he's at Times Square.
There we go.
I was talking to Spency earlier tonight. So happy New Year Spensy. Obviously, Happy New Year to everybody else, but we have to give a special Happy New Year to Spensy, who's the unofficial mayor of the Illegal Curve chat, right? But yeah,
Phyllis might be the unofficial mayor because she tells everybody what to do, like smash the like button.
True. I feel like Phyllis is like the mom of the chat, though.
That could be okay.
Whereas Spency's more like the king or the mayor of the chat. But regardless,
Spency's more of the miscreant of the chat. But go on.
Yeah, possibly. But regardless, Spency and Phyllis are both IC all-stars, right?
We've got a lot of all-stars.
Yeah, there's a lot of all-stars, but I thought it was a pretty even first period, to be honest with you. Like, considering that this is the second game of a back-to-back, I thought it was a pretty good period. Kyle Connor had a good chance in the first period. The Scheifele line was looking good. I thought the Lowry line had a couple of decent shifts where they kept the puck in the Avalanche zone, and there was a couple jam plays. But I thought for the most part, it was pretty even. I mean, you saw the McKinnon line obviously was creating some damage in the Jet zone, but for the most part, yeah, I mean, these two teams are going to trade chances, and I thought for the most part that the Jets managed the puck pretty well. They weren't creating a lot of turnovers. Like, it wasn't, considering that the Jets, had played their third game in 4 days. Like, you didn't see, it wasn't like one of those games where you saw an aggressive forecheck. You didn't see pressure all over the ice. The Jets were sitting back a little bit. McKinnon, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, that line, though, I mean, it's so easy to say that you have to shut that line down, but it's easier said than done. And obviously they factor in on the first goal, and it's a nice goal. But it's just, it's a nice tip. And actually Logan Stanley's out there with Neil Pionk, the D pair for the Jets. And Logan Stanley actually has Lehkonen, good body position on Lehkonen, and he's got him tied up. And, Lehkonen it's an unbelievable tip from Lehkonen, really. Like, he's such an underrated player. What does he have? 14 goals now? 15 goals?
And didn't I think they said that was that not his first goal in some time? Or no?
It's possible.
Yeah, so I mean, look, and we'll get into that goal because
I don't remember Dan Robertson saying that, Dave.
I could be wrong. I could be thinking of another time because if I recall, there was no sound, so maybe I heard something. They said something on the CGOB as I was driving home. But yeah, I mean, look, the Avs have good movement on this to me, and they opened the scoring with 8 minutes to go in the first. And you're right, as I thought it was a fairly even. Both teams had chances. I thought Eric Comrie was excellent. I mean, the Jets were being outshot 11-5 by Colorado. To that point in the period with 8:09 left. And Josh Manson, how many times have we mentioned his name over the years? And he's a, big right shot defenseman. We mentioned him when it was with the Ducks, I think, and folks were targeting him and wanting him to be an acquisition for the Winnipeg Jets. But, and maybe Logan Stanley could have had Lehkonen a little bit more, tied up a little bit. And that's one of those things we've talked about, but he does try and get the body on him. And I'd say he's probably maybe half a step behind in terms of really being able to kind of nullify him as a threat.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there's a few things here. I think this line, the Jets get into trouble with this line, and we saw this last year in the 7-game series when they're running around, and the Avalanche are players like Rantanen, Nichushkin, McKinnon. They're able to get the puck low to high. And then they've got strong players with good sticks. This is when the Jets run into problems, and it's hard for goalies to stop these shots.
Yeah,
and the Avalanche have guys like Josh Manson, they have Devon Taves, they have Samuel Girard, guys that can locate and place the puck where it needs to be. Right. The Jets get in trouble when they're running around in their own zone. And again, it's easier said than done. But you see this time and time again. And the Avalanche do this against a lot of teams. Like, let's not forget the Avalanche won the Cup a few years ago.
Right.
Like, it's not like the Avalanche won the Cup 10 years ago. That was 3 years ago that the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. And the majority of their elite players are still on this team. There's obviously, some players that have been traded or have moved on.
Yeah.
But this is still essentially the same core with McKinnon and Rantanen and Makar and Nichushkin and Josh Manson, Lehkonen, the names go on and on and on. But yeah, I mean, I don't really, Dave, have that much problem with Stanley's play here. I think the Avalanche they had the Jets running around a little bit in their own zone. And, you got to just give credit to Lehkonen on this goal. It was just a really nice deflection, even though Stanley bumps him, gives him a pretty decent body check in front of the net.
Yeah, so that is the score after 20 minutes of play. The Avs had a 14-10 shot edge, but the Jets, they were ready to go. One Jet specifically, Ezzy, was ready because he hasn't scored in 21 games. And you know what? The person who gave him the pass, I want to focus on him for 1 second, because it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about why is Morgan Barron in the lineup, or why does Morgan Barron have a guaranteed spot in the lineup, because he needs to contribute more. And it seems like, and I'm not, let me be clear, not because we had that conversation is he performing all of a sudden, of course.
Wouldn't that be nice if we could have those conversations and have an impact on the Jets play?
Yeah, that would be something else. But like I said, I just like the fact that it's a good first pass from the D zone. And, like I said, Logan Stanley forces it. Neil Pionk makes a quick pass along the wall right up to Morgan Barron. And Morgan Barron knows Rasmus Kupari plays with speed. And he gets the puck over to him. And like we talked about, Morgan Barron limited to just those 2 empty net goals for shorthanded empty net goals. The 2 fastest ones, I think it was he was top 5 in history or something like that in NHL history. So that was not insignificant, but he, needed more from him. And that was a really nice pass from him to make it a 1-1 game, because Rasmus Kupari uses his speed to get in behind the defense and put it into behind Blackwood to tie the game.
Right. And, I agree with what you've said, Dave, about Morgan Barron. He's been a guy who we've talked about quite a bit, that, he hasn't had the best offensive season. I think he does all the little things. Like, he's a guy that, he has,
especially on the PK.
Yeah, he's a good penalty killer, but he's a guy that he's a big boy, and he's a guy that can get in on the forecheck, and he can do some good things out there. Like, let's not forget that he was a prolific offensive player in college hockey, right? So this isn't like he's.
What college did he go to? You remember?
Was it Cornell?
Cornell.
Yeah. So he's a fourth line. I went to the University of Winnipeg, by the way, but and graduated.
There you go.
But Morgan Barron is a guy that I think at the NHL level, he's a fourth liner, but he's still a talented hockey player, is what I'm trying to say here. He can have an impact on the game. And what I love, Dave, is how he uses his body as a shield on this play. And yeah, it's a nice outlet pass by Neil Pionk. But who was it was a forward back, wasn't it? I forget who it was. Was it Parsonen? Whoever it was that was back for the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. It could have been maybe I'm getting no. I think no. You're right. It wasn't a forward. It was Sam Malinsky.
Yeah.
Pardon me. The Avs third pairing defenseman Morgan Barron does a nice job of just shielding the puck.
Yeah.
And getting body position on Malinsky using his speed, and then puts it right on Kupari's stick. So obviously, Dave, you're right. Kupari's one of the fastest guys on the team. He gets open. But let's and I agree with you. Let's give Morgan Barron credit here for making a really nice play and helping to tie this game up. And, we've talked about this so many times, how important it is, to have that pushback in the second period. And the Jets did. I mean, they again, you would look at the shots in this game, mm-hmm. and to me, it wasn't really indicative of the flow of the game.
Okay.
Because it was a pretty even game. It really was. It really was an even game. And, I think it wasn't until the third period that the Avalanche pulled away. And I'm not just talking about, the fact that they got 3 goals in the third period. You could just tell the Jets didn't have their legs in the third period. It's understandable. Third game in 4 days.
Yeah. And again, we're not here to make excuses for the Winnipeg Jets. We're not paid by the Winnipeg Jets, but we try and call balls and strikes as we see them. And of course, like umpires in baseball, you can always make mistakes, but we try and give you guys and girls, of course, an honest assessment as to what we're watching, as are you. And that's why you're welcome to share your opinion in the chat and let us know if you agree or disagree with one of our takes. I generally don't have, we had the guy who his nickname was Cold Takes, Ezzy. You sometimes have an occasional hot take, if you will. But yeah, I think this is just, the Jets are now tied 1-1, but the goal that some folks aren't happy with Eric Comrie about is, of course, the Devon Toews goal. And that's the one that makes it 2-1 for the Colorado Avalanche. Comes, sorry, I should know, but that comes about 6 minutes after the Jets had tied the game. There was some back and forth action, and then Toews gets that goal, and just kind of an unusual sequence. And again, I'm not here to be an Eric Comrie apologist, but I mean, I did think he was excellent in the hockey game.
I'll be an Eric Comrie apologist because Devon Toews obviously, fans on this shot.
Right.
But there's some excellent pressure by the Avalanche that led up to this, right? So again,
they scored almost 2 minutes before, or 2 seconds before this shift, before the goal went in, I should say.
Well, exactly. And so there's a lot of pressure and again, we've talked about this so many times, how killer, the late period goals are. This goal happened with, what was it? Just over 3 minutes left, right?
Yeah.
So Devon Toews, to me, like the Scheifele line gets caught out there. They were trying to get off. They were hemmed in their own zone, and Devon Toews is left too wide open to come in and cut to the net. That was the issue.
Yeah.
So again, you can criticize Comrie on this goal, but you have to give him credit for making some of the other big saves that he made in this game. So I mean, it wasn't the best goal, but again, I think the Jets were caught out. The Scheifele line was caught out there.
Yeah.
And Devon Toews, it was too easy for him to come off the blue line and then get the initial shot and get the rebound. And again, going back to what I said before, I saw the comments in the chat. We posted a few earlier. I really don't think the decision to play Hellebuck last night versus Nashville and then Comrie tonight was the reason why the Jets lost this game. I think Comrie gave the Jets a chance to win tonight, and that's what you want out of your backup goaltender.
Well, okay, and first of all, the one thing we have to mention on this goal, though, as he is, the pass was absolutely phenomenal by Cale Makar. I mean, it was a beautiful pass, and look,
they'll be doing that for Team Canada, won't they, Dave?
Yeah, exactly. But it was, to me, the interesting thing was just watching how I think the Jets. I honestly think, and I could be wrong, but I really do believe that. I think Mark Scheifele, because if you watch after the goal is scored, he points up to almost like to suggest like review. So I think he thought, I don't know that he saw that the puck came out of the zone and reset the clock, because just before this goal was scored, of course, they had, like I said, I just mentioned that chance, but that chance wouldn't have counted because Makar was offside.
Yes, correct.
So had they scored on that really good chance, it was very, I think, like I said, I think the Scheifele, and I don't know because again, we're not there to ask him, but I think he thought maybe it's offside. So I again, I'm not saying they let up, but it just seemed like they were gassed. They were pretty toast. And I mean, look, it's just unfortunate, but I don't think, if you ask Toews, if that was a intentional, because guys do that. I mean, I've seen guys do that. Henry Nikkinen did that for the Moose in a shootout move where he fakes that he loses the puck. And we've seen other guys do that at the NHL level.
Somebody did that. Who did that in the shootout recently between Canada and Latvia? Somebody on Canada did that. Was it Berkeley Catton?
Or was it Easton Cowan? Or Easton Cowan did
Easton Cowan. That's right. Yeah. Or no,
Easton Cowan?
Yeah, somebody, I forget who. There were so many shots. How many shooters were there?
It was 8.
It was like, there was a lot of shooters.
Yeah.
Berkeley Catton, I remember, went twice. But somebody did that. So, that is a thing to do. But Devon Toews was not doing that on this play.
No, exactly.
And he's just beat. And again, like Comrie's sprawling from the initial shot. And, for me, what the bigger issue was that the Scheifele line, again, was on too long.
Right.
It was kind of like you said, it was a little bit of a delayed play because I think they originally thought it was going to be called whistled down. Right. So they kind of, even for a brief half second, stopped playing a little bit. It kind of threw them off. So, but again, the Avalanche had oodles of pressure leading up to that in the second period. And, it's one of those situations where a player like Devon Toews, even though he's not, as prolific of a sniper as Cale Makar is, you give him that much time and space and bad things are going to happen, right?
Well, good things happen when you give Logan Stanley a little time and space, evidently, because with time running down in the second period, the Jets were pushing for the equalizer. And that's what you like to see, is that they're not, broken by, and again, this is a first place team we're talking about. They're not going to get broken by one goal. But the fact of the matter is they continued to push. They actually had narrowed the shots at this point. Now it was 22-16 before they got the tying goal. And, this is Gabe Velarde's on with the Lowry Niederreiter line at this point. But, Niederreiter sees Stanley pinching. So they switch. He drops him the puck. And then Stanley, the best was, I don't know if you saw the second period interview with Gabe Vilardi. And let me tell you, there's one thing about Gabriel Vilardi that is a breath of fresh air, is his complete honesty and when he assesses anything. And if you listen to the way he talked about how easy the Avalanche, like it's a 2-all game, he's not making excuses, not saying, well, we played 3 and 4, they're fresh. He's just saying, we're giving up the line too easily. They're having too much access. They're using their speed. We're not making it hard enough on them. I love how honest he is. But in this instance, Logan Stanley gets up right around the goal line, tries to put it in front. Then the puck kind of comes back, gets it in front, chips it over. And the best was Vilardi's like, I don't know how he got it to me, but then suddenly it was in front of me and, in tight, as you've talked about how good Gabriel Vilardi is. And he makes no mistake, and he scores his 18th goal of the season, his 4th goal in the last 3 games, 3 straight games with goals. And of course, he had 2 in one of those. So 4 goals in his last 3.
And, we were talking about Cornell grad Morgan Barron earlier, and
Yep.
Sam Malinsky is a Cornell grad, and he's the defenseman who just can't contain Gabe Vilardi in front. Sam Malinsky is obviously smaller than Gabe Vilardi, and Vilardi's in front of the net. Malinsky's trying to do the best. Almost looked like he was holding his stick at one point. And look, it's just completely Gabe Vilardi, his ability to establish position in front of the net and his hand-to-eye coordination. And it didn't look like, it was one of those plays where it didn't really look like much, right? Like it didn't look like there was a prime scoring opportunity happening. But it just shows you. That's why, on Saturday's show, we were talking about what Gabe, like I've said this before, and, I don't know if a lot of people who watched him play would agree with this, but like there's a lot of similarities for me between Gabe Vilardi's game and Rick Nash's game. I see a lot of that, like that big type of what he's able to do with his hands. Most guys in the NHL, even though the NHL is extremely skilled and has a lot of players with high-end skill, the stuff that he does, it just doesn't look like he's able to really like corral the puck or make the type of play that he does. But he's got such great hands, and not only does he have the great hands, he's got the scoring touch to go with it, right? So really impressive. And again, give credit to Logan Stanley for jumping up into the play and making this the goal happen as well.
And as Dan Robertson mentioned on the broadcast, that's 3 straight games with an assist for Logan Stanley, and he is contributing for the Winnipeg Jets. So that is how it ends after 40 minutes. 2-all. Shots were 25-17, in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. And it all comes down to the third period, where I actually thought both teams had some good chances. Kyle Connor had a lot of chances in this hockey game. I don't know how many shots on net as he ended up with.
He had 5.
Yeah, 5 shots. So he definitely had some really nice. And this is one of the things we talked about. The Avs have goaltending now, people, right? Like this game could have been very different if it wasn't.
Sorry, 3, Dave. I gave Connor 2 extra.
Okay. Well, I mean, but I wasn't, let's put it this way. I did not believe you, Ezzy, because it did seem like he took that many. He probably had 5 shots, like maybe didn't get 5 on Blackwood, but he probably had 5 shots directed at the net, I would imagine, or maybe more. But the fact of the matter is he had some good chances, but ultimately the Avs just 7 minutes and 22 seconds into the game, Casey Middlestat, he gets his first goal. I want to say, it's been a while. Like I think on the broadcast, Dan Robertson said it was I think it was like 17 or 18 games that he had gone without scoring and they had dropped him down in the lineup, but he gets a little bit of I would say not much time and space on Dylan DeMello. I just don't know if DeMello had him properly tied up, and first of all, this is another one of those unusual sequences because Mark Scheifele, first of all, falls on Eric Comrie as the Avs are cycling the puck. They just had another chance. And then the Scheifele line, they're kind of caught watching a little bit. And sure enough, there's a shot from the point by Josh Manson. We hear that name again, his second assist of the game, I believe. And, Dylan DeMello has Middlestat tied up, but he just can't get his stick out of harm's way. And he allows him to redirect it past Eric Comrie to take a 3-2 lead for those Colorado Avalanche.
Well, before I talk a little bit about the Casey Middlestat goal, Dave, we did forget to do something. I'm not sure if you're aware of what we forgot to do on the Gabe Vilardi goal. But if you want, I can hit the button. Do you want me to hit the button?
Well, you can hit the button.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Well, you know it's coming, Dave. It's New Year's Eve. We got what do we have? About 2 hours.
You're going to do some fireball, I'm assuming. Ignite the night.
We have 2 hours. If I can open this, it's a little tricky. I've got my little bottle here, but it's an hour and a half to go before 2025.
Yeah,
the Seagram shot of the game. Gabe Vilardi has been scoring a lot of goals lately. So this is to you, Gabe. This is to everybody watching throughout 2024. All of our viewers, our listeners, our sponsors. L'chaim,
cheers to
nice
you.
Little Seagram's Fireball.
Fireball tastes like heaven, burns like hell.
Whew.
There you go. Ezzy Ginsburg, the Fireball taster.
Delicious as usual, David.
Our thanks to Seagram's, of course, and our thanks to all of our sponsors here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you're new here, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. We just got over 7,000 subscribers on this channel. Remember, we were a radio show for a long time in the TSN days, the dark days as we call them, because we used to sit in a dark, little dingy room. Now, of course, we've entered the light of YouTube, and so we appreciate everyone helping us get to 7. The big goal is 10, though. We really want to get to 10. Now we'll have to get to 8, then 9, then we'll get to 10.
And then we'll go to 100.
If John Ginsburg is math professor, John Ginsburg is has taught me the right way, we'll get to 10 eventually once we get 8 and 9.
We're calling my dad Josh Ginsburg.
Did I call him Josh? Yeah. I thought I called him Math Ginsburg, to be honest with you. I didn't know what the hell I just said. Maybe I've been drinking a little bit this evening, but
I'm just glad that I got the mark that I got in linear algebra, because I would never been able to live it down if I didn't get a decent grade in linear algebra, considering that my dad was a math professor. But yeah, my dad he's been retired for a while now, but he literally wrote the textbook. He wrote the textbook at the University of Winnipeg, graph theory and calculus. Not sure if he's watching. He might be in bed already, Dave. It's 10:30 right now. My dad goes to bed early.
Well, I can tell you, since we're both sons of teachers, I can tell you that my mom, Cheryl Manouk, Madame Manouk, as they knew her at St. Jean Brebeuf, would not be happy with my French grades because I was a terrible French student. She used to say to me, she'd be like, I won't repeat what my mom used to say, but let's just say my French. Acceptable. Exactly. She's like, why is the only thing you know how to say is, can I go to the washroom? Anyway, so I was my French niche good, but regardless of that.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi, right, Dave?
I will not. I knew that. I know that enough, Ez.
No, that wasn't directed towards you. I was just, referencing the, was that a Spice Girls song? Is that a Spice Girls song when they say that? Voulez-vous coucher?
No, I know this.
No, Christina Aguilera. What was that? Moulin Rouge.
Fuck. I know that is your boy Bruce. He's asking me what a seal is.
Baby seal was a fuck. Yes.
Yeah. That's why he asked me what it is. I'm telling you.
And another popular one in school is Kia Pete.
Oh yeah, who farted?
Yes.
There was a great shirt that we saw in Ottawa once when I was there with on a family vacation. This is a little segue, and it was a shirt full of holes, and it said Kia Pete. Like that one. Yin Vivian is saying it's Lady Marmalade who's saying that song, has he? Mm-hmm. Robert Martin saying, good Lord, can we get back on track? Okay, he didn't say get back on track.
What are we doing? We're doing the Casey Middlestat goal, right?
Yeah, the Casey Middlestat goal. So what did you, I broken it down. Let's give your analysis. What's your insight on that one?
Well, it's funny because as I was talking to my kids as this goal was happening. So it was a little bit chaotic at the Ginsburg home, but
sure.
Like you said, right before this, Josh Morrissey falls on Mark Scheifele, that is, falls on Eric Comrie and kind of throws everybody off a little bit. And then the point shot comes back, and you're right. I mean, it's Josh Manson again, his second assist of the game. Mm-hmm. And Dylan DeMello, even though he gets a stick on Casey Middlestat, he's kind of awkwardly in a position where he's kind of moving backwards, and it's just a nice tip again. And this is what Colorado, I believe they mentioned this on the broadcast, that Colorado leads the league in tipped goals.
Well, how many did they get against the Jets in the playoffs?
Well, exactly. And the thing is, it's not just that the Avalanche are good at tipping pucks or the defensemen are good at getting the puck into the spots where players can tip it. It's that the Avalanche have control of the play, and they had significant zone time before this goal happened. So the Jets are running around a little bit, and Eric Comrie really has no chance on this goal. It's just it's a nice goal. You got to give. Look, Casey Middlestat was a nice acquisition for them. They needed a second line center. Ryan Johansson obviously didn't work out.
Right.
And they've got talented players, like we've talked about. It's not just McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar. You've got Arturi Lehkonen, you've got Casey Middlestat, Jonathan Drouin is a good player. It's a deep team, and again, I think the Jets can absolutely beat the Avalanche in a 7-game series.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to give them credit that when they're on their game and they're rested, which they were, it was a mismatch as far as I was concerned tonight against the Jets, who were in the third game of a 4-game stretch. Pardon me, the third game of a 4-day stretch.
Yeah.
And in the third period, you could see it. The Jets didn't have their legs. Anybody who watched the game, I should say, could see that the Jets just didn't have the legs, and Colorado was taking it to them. I think at one point the shots were 10-2 or something like that for the Avalanche in the third period. And they got burned there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And look, we don't really go over empty net goals, but Mikko Rantanen made it a 4-2 game, and then Ross Colton made it a 5-2 game. Those guys scored with about a minute and 29 to go, and then 7 seconds to go. So not really worth spending too much time there. But as you mentioned, Ezzy, the Jets fall 5-2 to the Colorado Avalanche. So they'll fall to 27-11-1 on the season.
Is that good, Dave?
Well, it is good. I mean, it's as we mentioned on Saturday's show. I mean, it's not just good. It's forgetting about the NHL records. This is historic from a Winnipeg perspective. I believe they remain. I could be wrong. I have to look, but I think I know they're ahead of the 17-18 team. They may be in the same spot as the team from last season. But again, given what all the experts had said during the summer, where this team was supposed to take a big step back, the fact that we're talking about the first place team, look, being the first place team doesn't mean anything. We know that, what happened.
Ask the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Ask a million first place teams.
Ask the Boston Bruins.
Remember the New York Rangers won the Presidents. I mean, there's so many teams that have won and not done anything. So again, that's it. But I'm just saying that the reality was that not many pundits, remember, most folks expected the Jets to be fighting with, quote, Utah and Minnesota for the final, playoff spot in the Central, or a wild card spot. Nobody.
And for Nashville to finish first in the Central.
Yeah, well, not me. I didn't think that. But I mean, I thought Nashville would be.
No, but you were saying the pundits. I mean, a lot of pundits were picking Nashville to either finish first, second, or third in the division. They're currently 7th.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm just saying that, this is just a very. They're still a very good hockey team who are missing, Dylan Sandberg. So they've been missing him since November 23rd. It's been already 5 weeks with his absence. And, one of the things that we probably should mention is the discipline. The Avs were smart, didn't take any penalty. They didn't get a power play, did they? I know the Avs had a power play, but did the Jets actually have a power play in this game? I don't think they did.
Nope.
So, look, the one thing that's weird about Colorado is the only thing
that I didn't even consider, Dave. That was kind of weird. There was one penalty in this game.
Yeah. Just the one power play.
Yeah, bizarre. You don't see that very often.
No, and especially, and I actually thought Eric Comrie was excellent. That was the Colin Miller hooking penalty against Mikko Rantanen in the first period, and that was late in that first. And I thought Eric Comrie,
I remember Arturi Lehkonen had a really good chance on that power play, and the Avalanche were snapping the puck around pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, the penalty kill came through. It only had to come through once. But yeah, just something a little bit bizarre.
Well, and the only thing I was going to say is it's interesting. Like I said, when I was doing some reading about the Avs, I thought the only thing that was unusual, and I hadn't looked to see whether it was specifically when they started winning at home, but their home record actually is the only thing that's really kind of, and again, that obviously has to deal with their problems and their goaltending, but the Avs home record was, I think they were 9-8-0 coming into tonight's game. So maybe now 2 games above, but very unusual for a team, that's still considered to be a very good team. Even though they're still a little ways back, 9 points back of the Jets, even after tonight's clean 2 points. they weren't a particularly good team at ball. Maybe it's because their arena is called Ball Arena. I don't know, but regardless of the reason,
horrible name.
Yeah,
I mean, we've talked about this before, Dave, like both on the show and just, when we're hanging out and, having a couple drinks or, enjoying some chips and just hanging out.
Yeah.
Arena names mean absolutely nothing. Like when you have like half of the arenas in Canada named after Scotiabank or Rogers, right?
Well, it is actually funny because I'll type that onto illegalcurve.com when I'm trying to find like an image, and I'll be like Scotiabank, and I'll be which one? There's like
3,000. Exactly. I don't know who, like, is it Scotiabank Arena? Is it Scotiabank Center, Rogers Center, Rogers Arena, Rogers Forum, Rogers Center? Like, it's just they don't mean anything. But Ball Arena is, the one I've also always found really funny is Crypto.com Arena.
Crypto's, yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous one in LA. The Jets will be there sometime April 1st, I believe, is when the Jets will be in LA again to take on those LA Kings, and they go to Vegas. One of my favorite places. 2 days later, Ezzy. But anyways, let's we'll focus on that when we get into the game recap. I think what game would that be? That'd probably be game like 80, 79, 80. It's going to be maybe not that early, but it'll probably be in the late 70s. So right now I think this is game 39 if the Marathon,
38 or 39.
Well, what did we say they are? We said they're 27, 11 and 1. So this would be game 39. Anyways, let's get to the commercial break. This has been, of course, the Play Now Manitoba game recap as we break all things down here on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
It's almost 2025, baby. Drink up.
Almost 2025. Not quite. Well, it's 2025 in some places, but not quite just yet. Anyways, we're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back after these words.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. I'm Dave Minuk. He's Ezzy Ginsberg. You are, all of you, you're the folks who make up this show, make it so lively. Of course, big shout out to all the folks who are listening via podcast. Not right now. This isn't in real time. But when you're listening to this on the podcast, as soon as the show ends,
the future listeners,
the future listener, if you will, we want to thank you as well, because you're just as important. Even if we can't hear you or see you in the chat, we appreciate you downloading the show and spending time in your day listening to us talk about the Winnipeg Jets, which we do, like I said, on each and every Illegal Curve postgame show. And of course, on Saturday, where we try and go a little more in depth for 2 hours of Jets talk and some Moose talk on the Illegal Curve hockey show. So like I've always tried to tell you, I've told you this throughout almost every day of 2024, and I'll tell you almost every day of 2025. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe button. And this doesn't just apply to the YouTube channel, folks. This applies on Facebook, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on Twitter. And of course, make sure you're visiting illegalcurve.com, your daily resource for Jets and Moose news. So make sure you stick with that. Well, as I'd read you some comments from the coach and the players, but there were none. So nobody reported anything that I saw. Did you see anything?
No, there weren't any. I mean, obviously, Jets fans, people watching live with us now in the chat, listening on the podcast, they're going to be curious about the health of Dylan DeMello. There's no updates.
He did play 23 minutes and 43 seconds as.
Right.
So I don't know. The problem is I don't remember when. It's funny because I took note of him going to the bench, but I don't remember if he came back. I don't recall him coming back.
I don't recall him coming back. I don't think he took a shift, but I did want to mention something from our good friend Joe Pascucci, former sports director of CKND. We call him the Winnipeg sports historian because he's always on top of historical facts when it comes to both the Winnipeg Jets and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We already know, Dave, that the Winnipeg Jets had the best record in the calendar year 2024 of any team in the NHL. Also, this was the most successful year ever record-wise in the 39 years of Winnipeg Jets hockey. So you're talking about from the WHA to the Jets 1.0, which was 1979 to 1996. Now you're talking about 2011 to 2024, the Winnipeg Jets 2.0. From January 2nd to December 31st, the Jets won 57 regular season games.
Wow.
And they lost 26. So the record was 57, 26, and they lost 3 in OT. So the best ever year for a Winnipeg Jets hockey team. That includes WHA 1.0 and 2.0, like I said. So pretty awesome. And like Drew said last post-game show when the Jets defeated the Predators, you got to just enjoy that, right? Like I realize a lot of Jets fans are already looking ahead to the trade deadline. They're looking ahead to the first round of the playoffs. But just sticking with the regular season, this Jets team has been prolific in the regular season in the calendar year 2024. So hopefully 2025 is going to be even better, but it's going to be tough to match 2024, Dave. That's for sure.
It will indeed. From my quick, while you were talking about that, as I just did take a look, and the last thing I see for Dylan DeMello was with 4:16 left, he blocked a shot from Josh Manson. So presumably that's maybe the last time.
Yeah,
but I haven't looked.
He didn't come back after that.
Yeah, I don't think he did. But again, like I said, the NHL website used to be so much more functional, and now honestly, like trying to make this stupid thing work, it's just like the worst part about it. I hate to say this, but like you used to be able to look at the standings, and then above the standings, they'd show you all the scores of all the games. And now you have to specifically go into the scores to see exactly what happened. Like it's just very bizarre. Like they've made it very difficult as opposed to easy.
It's very busy. There's a lot going on. I think that's the issue.
I think that's a good way of website. That's a good way of putting it, Ezzy. It's very busy, unfortunately, now, and as opposed to being like functional, and you use it, and you're like, okay, good, this is an easy site to use, and now it's just a pain in the ass. So that's my negative Nelly thoughts on the NHL's website. Okay, well, what else? Any other thoughts that you have? I mean, I'm not gonna. I can do a Moose Minute if you want. We can cue the thing. I mean,
put on your antlers. It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
Dave, if you ask me if I want a Minute Moose Minute, the answer is going to be 100% of the time yes.
Okay, well, the Moose were, of course, in action. I gave folks a little taster of it earlier in the show, but the Moose, of course, were in action. The Moose have been struggling. There's no question about that. You can't. What do they call it?
Sugarcoat.
You can't put lipstick on a pig. And the Moose were, of course, without Dominic Tonnato. He was recalled by the Jets because of the injury to Mason Appleton. So they tried something out for the first time as the all season. The Jets prospect line made up of 2021 first rounder Chaz Lucius, 2021 second rounder Nikita Chibrikov, and 2022 first rounder Brad Lambert. So Lambert was the center, Lucius was the left winger, and Chibrikov was the right wing. And they gave those guys a try. If you didn't see my tweets earlier in the day, we've got them on illegalcurve.com. You can check it out in the game recap. But found some chemistry. I mean, there's some things that they're going to have to work on. I talked about it with assistant coach Eric Dubois after the game about that line specifically and what he saw. And he basically said they're trying to find chemistry, and they were trying to find it with some other players on the team. They weren't seeming to find it as easy as they did last year. This team is much different, I think, than the last year's team, even though both teams got mired in losing streaks. And so they thought, well, why don't we put them together and see what kind of chemistry they can build as a trio. And I thought they were good. I thought they had some good things. We saw some mistakes. Brad Lambert made a mistake. Thomas Milic had to make a great save. He was able to, but it's not for lack of caring. And I will say, I know folks are upset about the development of Jets prospects, but I actually think you could say you want them to develop in a winning culture, but the truth is Brad Lambert and Nikita Chibrikov all had really good seasons. Both had really good seasons last year. And for the first half of the season, even when they were producing, the Moose were losing. So yes, winning is important and you want to breed a winning culture, but it didn't hold them back from developing last year. So,
well, like and also I would point out to the brief stint when Nikolai Ehlers was injured and Brad Lambert was called up and played, I think it was 3 or 4 games, and then Chibrikov played 3 games. Yeah. Both players did not look out of place, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean that shows you that they're
center,
following the proper developmental path. I agree with that. I think Chibrikov was more impressive in his brief stint up with the Jets, right. Dave.
Yeah.
But look, the Moose have been a consistent since they've been back from St. John's. I can't remember them missing the playoffs more than maybe once or twice. Like they've been pretty consistent in making the playoffs. And so hopefully they're still able to turn their season around, but it's been tough. Like, let's be honest, you cover the team, Dave, and it's not easy. Losing sucks. Everyone
they're losing a lot at
home
sports, too.
Well, exactly. And anybody who's played sports or anything, an academic endeavor as well.
Right.
It sucks to lose. So, hopefully they're going to be able to turn it around, but it's been unfortunate because, they're having trouble scoring goals. They're having trouble keeping the puck out of their own net.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a rough year.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of summing it up. And you were at the last game before today. And so, one guy, Ezzy, and I'm not going to even try and pronounce his name. He's a Finnish player, R2. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Hyry, but it doesn't even sound like that. So
it's burning the Moose.
It's like Haru or something like that.
It's not Ratu.
No, but he has 4 goals and 1 assist or 2 assists in the 2 games this series. So he looked real nice. He had a good move on Simon Lundmark and then went roof daddy on Thomas Milic. But like I said, the Moose have just been having a tough time. Great crowd, by the way. I think the last number I heard was somewhere around 6,700. I didn't look at the final total, but really good crowd. And like I said, they got to see a fireworks display after the game. But Axel Jonsson-Fjällby also in the third period, the Moose were down 3-1. And like I said, it's just unfortunate. You've got a guy like Dylan Anhorn, nice kid, and just learning at the pro level, and makes a mistake. Puck ends up behind Thomas Milic before he even knows that they've had a turnover, and that made it 3-0 early in the third. But the Moose, to that point in the game, only had 11 shots in the first 40 minutes. Sure enough, I think they got 12 or 13 in the final period. So they made a good effort of it. And talked to Dawson Bartow from of course, good old Manitoba kid right near Riding Mountain, and
former Winnipeg Ice legend.
Exactly. And so, actually, sorry, I shouldn't say Red Mountain. Fox Warren, home, of course, of Pat Falloon.
Yes.
So Fox Warren, Manitoba.
Second overall pick of the San Jose Sharks, Dave.
Yeah. What year?
91. I remember having the upper deck card. Let's see if I can remember who the top picks were of that year.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Owen Nolan. Was it not Owen Nolan, number 1, that went to Quebec?
I
remember it was wasn't it Owen Nolan and then Pat Falloon second overall, and then I went Mike Ricci was in there as well.
That was the 91 entry draft.
I had that upper.
Oh no, it was Lindros. Ezzy. Lindros was first.
Oh, Lindros.
Lindros. Falloon.
Was Owen Nolan the year before?
Yeah, the year before. Lindros, Falloon, Niedermeyer,
yeah.
Scott Lachance. I had his card.
Yeah.
Aaron
Ward.
Ward.
To the Islanders, right?
Aaron Ward.
Aaron Ward went to the Jets.
No, but that was the most annoying. Aaron Ward was the most annoying pick. You remember the Jets drafted him, University of Michigan, and then he
Forsberg, number 6.
Yeah, forget about that though. But the fact of the matter is that Jets drafted Aaron Ward, and then he never came. He wouldn't play for Winnipeg. I always hated him because of that. I think I got into it with him on Twitter once
really?
Because of that. Yeah,
I was going to say I'm pretty sure we had Aaron Ward back in the radio days a few times.
We might have, but I just remember being bitter because I was
obviously,
like,
Dave M didn't care. He still let him know he didn't care for him.
I didn't care. Not that I don't care about him now, but I just did not care for the Aaron Ward who refused as a kid to come to Winnipeg.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Anyways, but Dawson Barteau, I'm like, why did we start talking about this? Because I was talking about Dawson Barteau, of course.
I don't know, Dave, but you can keep talking. I mean, it's pairing very nicely with my Corona.
Okay, keep going.
Fresh one.
Well, anyway, so look, the Moose are in tough. There's no other way. No sugarcoating it. Nikita Chibrikov did hit 2 posts. The one guy who I think had a really good couple of games is Dmitry Kuzmin, a 2021 third rounder. Ezzy, he can
skate. He can skate. He's a good skater.
He is a very good skater, and I thought he had a pretty good. And Eric Dubois, when I mentioned that, I don't know if he was just trying to back me up. By the way, Eric Dubois, it's funny, of course, father of Pierre-Luc. Just before we got the thing, it's amazing. Of course, he former Manitoba Moose, Eric Dubois, and his handshake is crushing still. Like he, wished me Happy New Year, and I'm not joking. I was like, oh. Just crushed my hand. It's big. He's still tough guy. Can still get it done.
Man.
So big man. So Eric Dubois, he spoke about Dmitry Kuzmin, and he kind of agreed with me. And he basically said that he thought he had a really good couple of games. So, he's a young offensive defenseman, left side. We'll see how he pans out, but in an interesting one. And as of course, we've got to talk about Marcus Lopinen, his big goal for Victoria. Yeah. It was very funny, just so to give folks the backstory, as Ezzy and I drone on a little bit here, that I had mentioned, Ezzy always gets a kick out of my covering the Jets draft picks and how they're doing and keeping tabs. And I think I didn't notice that Zach Naring had scored for Western Michigan yesterday. So I was updating that. And then Ezzy goes, do Marcus Lopinen next. And I said something like none forthcoming or something like that. And Ezzy goes, well, that's disappointing. And then one of Michael on Twitter pointed out that Marcus Lopinen actually scored for Victoria. So I will be cutting that highlight for anyone who is curious to know how the fifth rounder from 2024 did today for the Victoria Royals. Well, as it has been a lot of fun, we've gone a little over time here in the final Illegal Curve show of 2024. Unlike Drew, who tends to just drone on and then just end the show as if he's the only one who has a thought, I'm going to ask you, are there any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience for 2024?
I mean, for me, Dave, a final thought is really, considering this is the last broadcast of the year, we'll be back obviously Thursday when the Jets play the Ducks at home, the beginning of the season-long 8-game homestand. No, I just want to thank everybody who's in the chat right now watching live, whoever's listening on the podcast, people who have been watching the post-game show and the Saturday show throughout the early part of this season. Oh, what's this?
Oh, this is what you were doing.
Oh, hold on.
I knew you were too quiet. I knew you were too quiet.
Somebody is, we have a guest here. Who is it? It's
Hey, what's up, guys?
Happy New Year.
I'm at Times Square. What's going on, guys?
What's happening, Spencer?
My buddy's just over there. What's going on, guys? We're just at Times Square right now.
See, this is
Cheers, Spency.
Well, man, this is like the best New Year's. This is like a New Year's tradition. No Mindell, Spency's on the show.
Yeah, there we go. I was going to ask you where your drink is. Cheers, Spency, to 2024 and heading into 2025.
No boats on Sunday.
Man, all I know is this. When Ginsburg's telling me to keep talking, I'm like, why does he want me to keep talking? What's he stalling for? I should have known the jig was up and that Spency, the man, the myth, the legend, is here to join us on the only now, Ezzy, you're not, I mean, Spency, sorry. Spency, is this your? I mean, I technically I can't count all the times you've been on location and jumped into the back of a shot, but is this, I believe, the second or third time now you've joined us on a post-game show?
Number 2. This would be number 2.
Okay, number 2. Okay, well, I mean, so what is it? What's it like being an IC super fan? Let's ask you that question.
The fame, the fortune, woo, the babes, the women. Like I need an extra help to keep these women off me.
Love it.
Okay,
well I mean, even though this is not the same as a couple years ago. I mean, for those who don't remember, New Year's Eve 2022 going into 2023. Oh, I love beauty Christmas tree there. I love it.
Oh.
Spency, let's go room by room. Let's go see where the magic happens.
All right, Ginsburg, I'm about to kick both of you guys off the show in a second. This has been a good little segue, but it's Kenny and Reddy have started, and it's time for us to say goodnight.
Let's see what's in your fridge.
Spency's currently, see, this is the problem. Boy, Drew's going to lose his. Drew is definitely removing Ezzy's no surprise. Hey, icy beer.
Oh, I love it. A little icy beer, beautiful.
I've definitely lost control when now I'm outnumbered by Spency and
Guinness going.
Oh yeah, nice Irish beer, love it.
Some Heineken. Oh, where's my counter? It's screwy going backwards like this.
Spency, you know what I love? There's no water. There's no water in any of those fridges in your house. It's nice cold beers.
There's water in the tap. You don't need water in the fridge.
There you go. All right. Well, this has been Darth Skater. Yeah, we got icy beer right there. Look. All right, Spency, we're an hour and 5 minutes away, but I'm not going to keep the show going for an hour and 5 minutes. So we're going to get Spency out of here. Spency, say your goodbyes to the IC chat. I'm going to get rid of you.
Bye, guys.
There he goes.
You're an absolute beauty. I love you, and look forward to in 2025. We have a little renovation project that we're working on in my St. James home. So just stay tuned for that in 2025.
One last thing. Check out this sweater my mom knit for me.
Well, that's pretty slick. I'm going to give you that. Props to Spency's mom.
Woo!
And with that,
solid.
He is gone. I just Thanos slapped him, snapped him right out of there. So, wow, we got a Spency visit.
Oh, he's back.
Ginsburg, stop making it. And he's gone again. All right, let's try and take control. Ginsburg, I knew I shouldn't have given you any access. Dear God,
we have to get Spency on. It's a New Year's Eve tradition, Dave.
It is a New Year's Eve tradition, and I'm happy to see Spency. As I'm happy to see everybody here in the chat each and every time we go live.
My favorite was going through Spency's fridge. That was the best. You didn't see any water or juice in that fridge.
I did not see any water or juice. It was definitely a lot of beer, and nicely icy beer. Anyway, which will hopefully have something new in 2025, but stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for everything, of course. And like I said, everybody, I'm going to reiterate as these sentiments. I just want to thank everyone for your support, and I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy 2025, and nothing but the best for you and your families. And we'll be able to enjoy a lot more laughs and shows here with us throughout the course of this season. So thank you, and a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, who make the Saturday show, and of course that website, illegalcurve.com, a possibility. They are in no particular order: Rumors Restaurant, Comedy Club, Play Now, Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place, Seagram's. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. For Dave Minuk, for Ezzy Ginsburg, for Spency, for the rest of you in the chat, for Drew Mandel, who's not here because he's not feeling well, big thank you. Big, happy, and healthy 2025. Enjoy the rest of 2024, and we will be back with you on Thursday night when the Jets host the Anaheim Ducks. Have a good rest of your night, everyone, and
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.